All right. So, as we continue our journey through Genesis, let's remember where we started. Remember, God created the heavens and the earth, and everything was all good. Everything was good. So he shaped male and female in his own image, and he placed them in the Garden of Eden. But then sin entered the Garden of Eden, and with it came the consequences. Mostly separation from God, and hardship, and death. And then we reach chapter 6. Only chapter 6, and we find humanity has just spiraled into deeper corruption. Okay, so that is where we're going to start in chapter 6. So Genesis 6 and verse 1. When man began to multiply on the face of the land, and the daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not abide with man forever, for he is flesh. His days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. These were mighty men who were of old, and the men of renown. Then the Lord saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intention of his thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord regretted that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart. So the Lord said, I will blot out man whom I have created from the face of the land, man and animals and creeping things and birds of the heaven, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Okay? So what we get in this first part of chapter 6 is that the world is a mess. Mm-hmm. And even from our prayer request this morning that you can definitely hear, life is still messy. Okay? It's full of wickedness, it's full of selfishness, it's full of pride, and it literally says that every thought of man is just pure evil, just evilness reigning. And this is a far cry from Genesis 2, where everything was good, and everything is perfect, and everything was just sunshine and rainbows and happiness. And then we get to chapter 6, and it's just corruption, okay? So we're told that God has marked human days, okay? From 120 years from when he is talking, the world is going to end in a flood, okay? Man's days are numbered. He has given them a warning. You have 120 years to get ready for the destruction, okay? This does not come out of nowhere. God just didn't wake up one day and decide, hey, today I'm going to wipe out the flood. I'm going to wipe out the whole earth. I'm going to start over. You just push the big red button and reset. He actually knows that this is happening, and he wants to warn humans, okay? So he gives them a 120-year warning. And we're also told about a race of people called the Nephilim, which is just a Hebrew word that means giants. So big people, big tall people, okay? Now, they are highly debated, and we're not really told very much about them except that they are giants. So here's a couple of theories, okay? Now, again, we don't have the exact answer, so I can't tell you which one of these are true or if there's another option. So here's theory number 1. The sons of God were from the line of Seth, and the daughters of men were from the line of Canaan. And so this could be talking about an intermarriage between godly and ungodly lines. But as we kind of saw from Genesis, we don't really have that really super hard and fast line of like, these are the saved people and these are the lost people, because people from both sides end up in the flood completely wiped away, okay? So, and we have godly people and ungodly people who marry every day, and they don't produce giants. So, you know, that is a theory, but it's a shaky one at best, okay? Theory number 2 is that the sons of God were either demons or demon-possessed humans, and the daughters of men were regular humans, and that Satan was trying to pollute the genetic pool of humanity so that the Messiah could not come. That's kind of one. You kind of have to read that into it, but we do see some demon possession, especially in the New Testament, so possibility, we're not exactly sure. Again, that one's kind of shaky. Theory 3 is probably the one that's a little stronger. The sons of men were evil kings or leaders, people who had decided to rise up and be the leadership, but we do have evil. We do have these people who are sinful, more sinful than others, and they claim divine descendants. Where do we hear that in history? Pharaohs. They literally believed that they were gods. They weren't human, they were born human, and when they become a pharaoh, they literally become a god on earth, okay? So we do see that in history, which kind of supports this theory, and especially...
Couldn't the royalty, like from England and...
Right.
I mean, they also believe the same thing.
They believe that they're kind of called out and divined in that aspect. It's true, yes. And then we also have verse 4 that says that they were mighty men of old and men of renown, which kind of gives that whole, these are kind of the cream of the crop, the leadership. Okay, so that one's kind of the most likely, but again, we have to kind of read a lot into that. So whatever it really means, we're told about this race of giants. And it seems to be that they're like these superhuman beings, and these are probably the foundation of ancient myths like the demigods in Greek, okay? So these stories would have been passed down. Noah's sons would have known some of these people. And so you pass these story downs of just these guys who are just 9 and 10 feet tall, and they're super strong, and they're warriors, and they're just the cream of the crop. So that's probably where a lot of like Greek myths and things like that come from, okay? So we have this race of human beings, and during this time they're building kingdoms, but they're not kingdoms of peace, they're kingdoms of just violence and corruption and just horrible things that are happening. And we're told that they just take wives whenever they want and whoever they want, and they just seek to destroy everything in their path, okay? Well, God decides that it's time to deal with this, okay? But again, he just doesn't call one day and say, just wipe everything out. We're going to give them a choice. And he chooses one family, Noah. Noah and his family are where God is going to put all of his hopes, okay? But we get a little bit of a picture in Noah later on that we're going to talk about. All of our hopes come on Noah, who is following after God and walking with God, and just this incredibly righteous person who gets chosen out of all of these people on the earth. But Noah will also fail us and reveal that sin will lurk inside of us, no matter who we are. Just because Noah wasn't out there doing evil does not mean that he was a perfectly sinless person. Right. He still had sin in his heart. He was trying to walk with God every day and making those choices to walk with God every single day. Okay? All right, so let's go to verse 9. Genesis 6, verse 9. Okay? These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. And Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And God saw the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. And God said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence through them. Behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out with pitch. This is how you are to make it. The length of the ark, 300 cubits, the breadth, 50 cubits, and its height, 30 cubits. Make a roof for the ark and finish it to a cubit above, and set the door of the ark in its side. Make with a lower, second, and third decks. For behold, I will bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, in which is the breath of life under heaven. Everything that is on the earth shall die. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. And of every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female. Of the birds according to their kinds, and of the animals according to their kinds, and of every creeping thing of the ground according to its kind, 2 of every sort shall come into you and for you to keep them alive. Also take with you every sort of food that is eaten and store it up. It shall serve as food for you and for them. Noah did this. He did all that God commanded him. Okay? So God gives Noah some instructions. And can you imagine that day that Noah's just doing his own thing, and then he just gets these instruction manual from God? Listen, Noah, I want you to build a boat. What's a boat? I'm going to tell you what a boat is. This is exactly how I want you to make it. I want you to put all the animals in. How am I going to do that? I can't even catch anything. Don't worry about it. I'm going to bring them to you. I want you to store up food. How much? Don't worry about it. I'm not going to tell you. I just want you to store up food. Would you love to wake up tomorrow morning and get those messages from God? Okay? Maybe an email, a letter in the mail. It's pretty specific instructions. He tells Noah that he's going to build a boat, but this is not going to be a sailing vessel. This is not a cruise, okay? It's basically like a big treasure chest.
So it didn't actually
Didn't
float,
float.
it was just, because in my Bible, it has the actual feet of it.
Yes.
So it's
So
450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Does that mean that the boat never really needed to float because they put the pitch in it, and it was just meant to stay stationary and keep everybody safe?
No, imagine like a floating treasure chest. Like
Okay.
we need it to float because it's actually gonna go above mountains here.
Okay,
So it's 450 feet long,
75 feet wide, and 45 feet high.
75 feet high, and it's 45 feet.
45 feet high.
But as the water rose, it
It went up with
went
it.
up with
It would have kind of carried it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But this isn't a boat. Like there's no sails. There's no nothing like that. Okay. So this is just basically like a big treasure chest. And he tells him that there's gonna have 3 levels, and he wants him to put in food and things like this. So this is not going to be a 4-day cruise here. God is planning something for a long time. He just doesn't know how long. Okay. Because if they just thought it was going to be over the weekend, they wouldn't have really needed all of that stuff. Okay.
So can you imagine all the people on the earth when the flood came, they just drowned and
Mhm.
died? Can you imagine how scared they must have been?
Very scared.
They were
Drowning is a
warned,
big
though.
fear of mine, so
They
yeah.
were warned and.
I know, I
Wicked.
get that, but I just,
Wicked.
I,
This doesn't
Yeah.
mean they weren't terrified.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean that at the end they weren't
They
terrified.
didn't believe or
Absolutely.
didn't become terrified.
But it's also kind of difficult because they didn't see rain before. So being
Right.
told that it's going to rain, you're like, what is that?
What's that?
Right.
What is that? What's rain? I've never seen rain before. This had never been done before. But Noah, despite all of that, he listens to God. And we're told that he does everything exactly the way that God commanded it. So he didn't just believe in God, he believed God.
yes,
And it turned
yes.
into action.
They
Yes.
never, but how did the crops and stuff grow between then and?
But didn't he
the
take
flood?
all of one
There's
of
a
every
risk
kind
from
on the
the-
boat? Even the plants and the bugs and all the
Yeah,
you're
living
talking
She's
things?
talking about how it was
before-
water
Yeah,
before.
it was like
So the
a
theory is
Oh,
like
sorry.
there's this like basically
Mist.
bubble over it that kept everything wet and watered.
the dew.
Also, yes,
Sort of the dew
and everything like that. And that's what broke to bring the flood and also water coming up. So water coming up and down creates this flood.
Okay.
So it's kind of like this protection thing that was on the earth before, and then we get that bubble popped. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're chapter 7. Then the Lord said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and all of your household." So 120 years have passed from the previous sentence to now. Okay? So it took Noah 120 years to build this. Remember, he doesn't have power tools. And he only has 3 sons. So just the 4 guys are out there building a boat. Okay? Took a while. 120 years to build that ginormous.
Oh, it took 120 years to make it?
120 years to make it.
We
Yeah.
have 3 guys making a 450.
Yeah.
I know, so.
We have four
yeah.
guys, we have no power tools, and we're making something that would fit in a football stadium. Basically, a big old football stadium.
And there's people walking by him every day thinking
every
he's an idiot.
day.
Yeah.
Well, this guy is
Yes.
This guy is
They mocked him and.
Oh, yeah.
And he was basically preaching to him, wasn't he?
Yes.
Telling him, you know,
You need to
Get
repent.
back.
You need to get on the boat.
Repent.
This is your only
Noah
salvation.
being like,
yeah.
Jesus. Should listen.
Well, that's the cartoon with
Me
the,
and my
with the
boots.
dinosaurs on the rock.
Right here.
Going, oh, it was today?
It was. Did you get your cruise pass? Did you get my cruise pass? I knew I should have got on the boat. I knew I should have got earlier. Alright, so 120 years have passed. I want you to keep that in mind too. It's been 120 years of Noah out there building this
So
gigantic
that's why he picked
boat.
120 years to flood the earth,
Yeah,
because he
he
wanted to
warned
give
them.
Noah time to build the ark.
Yeah, imagine if you were told tomorrow you gotta build a 450-foot boat. Even with power tools, you wouldn't have been able to do that over a weekend. You know, with 4 guys. Okay?
of wood.
The price of wood alone. Yeah, exactly.
Afford it.
Yeah, you had to go chop all those trees down and make them yourself. You didn't even have Home Depot. Like, you couldn't go get the screws and the wood from Home Depot and do it a weekend project, okay? So you had to do it all himself with his 3 boys. Alright? So verse 2, take then 7 pairs of all the clean animals, the male and the female, and the pair of the animals that are not clean, the male and its mate, and 7 pairs of the bird of the heavens also, male and female, to keep their offspring alive on the face of all the earth. For in 7 days I will send rain on the earth, 40 days and 40 nights, and every living thing that I have made I will blot out from the face of the ground. And again, Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. This is repeated for a reason. Noah is being obedient to what the Lord is telling him, even though it makes no logical sense. Okay, remember, it doesn't make any logical sense, but I'm going to obey the Lord. Verse 6, Noah was 600 years old. So again, why it takes 120 years, okay?
I mean, man can barely move.
The man is 600 years old going out there on a weekend, building this boat.
Almost old enough.
Very close. When the floodwaters came on the earth, and Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him went into the ark to escape the waters of the flood, of clean animals and of animals that were not clean, and of birds and everything that creeps on the ground. So we hear this repetition and we kind of like hit snooze in our brains. God is trying to say, Noah is doing exactly what I told him to do, okay? As God had commanded him, verse 10, and after 7 days the waters of the flood came upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day of the month, on that day, all the foundations of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of heaven were opened. Okay, so that's that breaking of the ground, popping that bubble, okay, all of that. And the rain fell upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. They had never seen rain before, and then it rains for 40 days. Okay? On the very same day, Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons, with them entered the ark. They and every beast according to his kind, and all the livestock according to its kind, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth according to its kind, and every bird according to its kind. So you're starting to see that repetition again. Every single thing went on the ark except for the water animals. Verse 15, they went into the ark with Noah, 2 and 2 of all flesh, in which there was the breath of life, and those that entered the ark, male and female of all the flesh, went in as God had commanded, and the Lord shut him in.
Isn't that amazing that he shut that door?
He shut the door. So Noah gets in, and he takes his wife, who we're not told her name, and his 3 sons and their wives, who we're not told their name, and they wait. And they just get in the boat.
And the door closes. Dun, dun, dun.
And the door closes, you hear the door, imagine you're in the ark, you got a bunch of animals going crazy in that ark, and 8 people walk into that ark, and the door shuts behind you. But then, it is 7 days before the first raindrop falls. So they sit on that boat for a week, waiting, smelling, tending to animals, doing the things that they're supposed to be doing, being obedient on the ark, but they're waiting. How many times do you think Noah doubted in that 7 days?
I honestly would have started
Every
counting
day.
it the next day.
The first smell of funk, and I'd been like, we're out of here.
I got it out.
See, no, then he just shut the door and my claustrophobic would have been no.
Preach.
Right.
I'd have been like, I'm
Are
sorry.
there no windows?
No.
There's one window.
There's one window.
One window.
And
That's
I
why
was in the window.
Sorry.
Shouldn't be
Hanging
there.
You're on your own.
over the window.
Hanging
Okay?
your head up.
Dibs on the window and a fluffy
I
animal.
can't even wear a tight ring because of claustrophobia.
We have one window at the very top. That's it.
That's where I lived.
Yeah. One window at the very top.
But you know the door has been extremely heavy.
Oh yeah, Noah wouldn't have been able to shut that door.
Close it
Yeah,
up.
I'm thinking of the sound of the doors that
Yes,
close.
right.
I'm thinking of.
And it has to be a ginormous door.
Oh
Yeah.
I think like a
I
giraffe.
was literally
Like a
opposite.
giraffe.
The giraffes had to get in there.
Yes, and that's always.
I also never in all the years
You
I've
don't
thought about
understand
those
what's
Ark,
where
where
is
is
it?
those Ark, I've never thought about how dark it must have been.
Yeah. Well, they would have had oil lamps and stuff, but you have to be really careful because then you're such a boat on fire.
Yeah, then you're gonna burn your boat
You're
down.
gonna burn your boat down before it even rains. Okay, so they had to be very
Yeah.
careful, but they did have oil lamps and stuff. Absolutely.
Wait, is it a recreation of it? But it's life size and what
It's huge.
and
It's
what it
huge.
was in the
A giraffe
Bible.
could walk through it.
Yeah, they
one in
made a
Kentucky.
replica
Yeah.
of that to the exact size and everything. Yeah, that's
Isn't
okay.
Isn't Ham the one that was responsible for creating all that? I mean, not in the Bible. He's a
Oh,
creationist.
the gentleman. Yeah, his last
I
name's
forgot
Ham.
what his first name
Yeah.
was.
Yes. So he raised all the funds to build it and everything. Yeah, it's great. Just go see it so bad. Okay, so let's get back to the first ark.
Sorry.
Okay, so the ark is finished, and God is the one that says, "Come on into the ark. It's time." Okay. He's invited Noah and his family into a place of safety, but you notice that nobody else gets on the ark because they still think that they're Looney Tunes, right? These people are nuts.
But was it, well, correct me, I can't remember what you said about that just a few minutes ago, and I know you said it, were they invited onto the church?
Oh,
Yeah.
into the ark.
There was
Yeah.
family.
I mean, into
invited.
into the church.
Yeah.
Yes, into the ark. They
Noah
were.
said it's going to rain. Y'all need to get on
Okay,
the ark.
yes, I do
warning
remember you
them.
saying that. I'm taking a lot of
120
information.
They
years.
said no.
And they did.
Yeah.
They like his Looney Tunes. Imagine that.
Yeah.
That's an odd thing to say. Okay. So all the animals go in the boat, and 8 people, just 8 people, get on this football field-sized boat, and that's it. Nobody else gets on the ark. Just these 8 people. So Noah's siblings, his cousins, his nieces and nephews, everyone they know is standing on the outside of the boat, and only
That really
these
puts
8.
it in perspective.
That really puts it in perspective.
That's 4.5 football fields, ain't it?
It's
Well,
not
the
one
football
football
field is
field is-
100
So
yards.
all these.
Oh, yards, and we're
yards,
talking
but-
feet.
So a little bit bigger than just
Okay.
one stadium football field. Yeah.
No, got it,
That's
okay.
It was
huge.
big.
No,
Still.
just 2. No,
Jeez.
no. Okay, never mind. I'm looking at the flood line of the people.
So that's just the one line. So that's not everybody. That's just following one line.
So Methuselah died right before.
So he dies right before, and you see his father, Noah's father, dies a couple of years right before the flood. But Noah had brothers and sisters. We're told that. Yeah. So all of those people are standing on the outside of it. Okay.
So they watched Noah build a boat.
Yeah, they watched him build a boat, and if y'all think y'all have crazy relatives, he's out there building a boat. Okay. Yeah.
And that's what they said.
Don't go over to crazy Noah. He's nuts. Don't believe that. Okay. So the heavens open up, the foundations break up, and judgment begins. And do you think there's anybody knocking on that boat?
Yeah.
Then now they're ready to get in, but sorry, God sealed the door, you're done.
I don't know, could you hear through it?
I don't know, but I feel like it would be
Could
something.
you imagine
There's
that's
so
a lot of
many
people.
people.
That's a lot of people, that,
Yes.
I think
Screams
collectively
for help.
imagine their
You what?
screams could be heard.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true.
Just the utter noise and chaos outside of people clamoring, pounding on that door. But it wasn't
Screaming.
Noah that shut the
In
door.
that moment, I would.
And that means that he couldn't open it.
Yeah,
He
you
goes,
can't, you can't sit with us.
It was God who had shut the door. Mercy was done, and God sealed the door. Noah couldn't open the door if he wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
Judgment was time.
We have to remember too that that's a just God.
He's a very just God. He gave them all that
Yes.
time. And now when they saw judgment,
Then they panicked.
then they panicked.
Sorry, Maria, have a seat.
So verse 17. The flood continued 40 days on the earth, and the waters increased and bore up the ark. So the water's enough to kind of lift up this ark. This ark is heavy, y'all. Okay? And it rose high above the earth. The waters prevailed and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated to the face of the waters. Okay, so it's buoyant, it floats. And the waters prevailed so mightily on the earth that all the high mountains under the heaven were covered. The waters prevailed above the mountains, covering them 15 cubits deep. You want to know how high that is?
Yeah.
75 feet above the tallest mountain. That's how far the waters went up.
Wow.
Okay, that's not a local flood, y'all.
No.
That's a worldwide
Hey,
flood.
what'd you say?
75 feet above the highest mountain on earth. That's how far the waters went up.
Enough for the boat to get over.
Yeah.
Okay, so another Matterhorn's like the 3rd highest.
We were talking Kilimanjaro,
Okay,
Everest.
yeah,
Yeah.
Everest, okay.
75
So,
feet, even taller than that top.
But
Yeah.
do we know that those mountains existed?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They probably would have been called something else.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh yeah, those mountains were there.
When they've excavated, they've been able to find,
They find seafood.
yeah,
They
just
find
the things
all
that
kinds
they've
of
been
stuff on
able
top of
to
the
tell
mountain.
where.
Wonder how it got
how
there.
it got there.
Oh, they
find
find
shellfish.
the mountains in Utah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on top of the mountain. You think they migrated up there?
Sure they did.
Sure they did. 75 feet above them.
They were those crawling catfish.
All right, 21. And all the fish, and all the flesh died that moved on the earth, birds, livestock, beasts, all the soaring creatures that swam on the earth, and all mankind, everything on dry ground, and whose nostrils were the breath of life, died. You hear the seriousness of God here. They all died. He blotted out everything that was on the face of the ground. Man and animals and creeping things and birds of the heaven, they were all blotted out from the earth. Only Noah was left, and those who were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days.
I'm still stuck on the sea animal things on the
Yeah,
mountains.
they're in the water. Yes, they have found Ark.
How can anybody even doubt that this is true?
Good question.
Good question.
And we're in Utah, driving up in the mountains, they have signs on the side of the road, sea life, fossils found here.
Yes.
And I'm thinking,
Of
okay,
course they were.
this is, but they say they were 3 million years ago too.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of
So
debate about it.
they've created a science to make it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible.
Why, so sea creatures, I mean, obviously some of them died, but some of them still were able to
Yeah.
live.
He's not talking about killing everything in the waters. They were still able to swim around, and they were probably having themselves a good old time.
When the
Because they had a bunch
receding,
of
when the
food.
recession,
and
I'm
they
assuming when the
receded.
water receded, they got stuck wherever they were.
Right.
That's
That's
why
where
they
they
That
died.
stuff died.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're talking about everything on the land. Died.
This is so exciting.
Okay. Alright. So this is a really sobering image. God is basically just wiping everything clean, literally, okay? He's just got water out there and he's wiping everything clean, but the ark is floating safely along with just 8 people in it. So there's no real way to soften all of this judgment, and we don't want to. But we see grace. We see that ark as a picture of God's grace, because he could have just started from scratch all over again,
We
right?
could have just wiped everybody
Could
out,
have just
everything
wiped
out.
everybody
Instead
out without warning.
Do over, y'all suck. Let me try again.
Make a new Adam and Eve, new garden. He could have just wiped it all out. But he
Absolutely.
doesn't. Okay? And we still see in justice and mercy, we still have this remnant and this promise of salvation. Okay? And that's the picture that you want to see there. Alright, so let's read chapter 8. But God remembered Noah and all the beasts and all the livestock that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind blow over the earth, and the waters subsided. The fountains of the deep and the windows of heavens were closed. The rain from the heaven was restrained, and the waters receded from the earth continually. At the end of 150 days, the waters abated. And in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the earth came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. And the waters continued to abate until the 10th month, and in the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. At the end of 40 days, Noah opened the window of the ark that he made, it's that little window up there at the top, and he sent forth a raven, and it went to and fro until the waters were dried up from the earth. Then he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters had subsided from the face of the ground. But the dove found no place to set her foot, and she returned to him to the ark, for the waters were still on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand and took her and brought her into the ark with him. He waited another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came back to him in the evening, and behold, in her mouth was a freshly plucked olive leaf. So Noah knew the waters had subsided from the earth. Then he waited another 7 days, and sent forth the dove, and she did not return to him any more. In the 601st year, in the 1st month, of the 1st day of the month, the waters were dried off the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And in the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth had dried out. Then God said to Noah, "Go out from the ark, you and your wife, and your son, and your son's wife. Bring out every living thing that is with you of all flesh, birds and animals and creeping things that creep on the earth, that they may swarm on the earth, and be fruitful and multiply on the earth." So Noah went out, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, every bird, everything that moves on the earth went out by families from the ark. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and took some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And when the Lord smelled the pleasant aroma, the Lord said in his heart, "I will never again curse the ground because of man, for the intentions of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I ever strike down every living creature as I have done. While the earth remains, seedtime, harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease."
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Did God open the ark? Or did Noah open the ark to get back out? Because God composed it.
It didn't say.
Doesn't say.
Was it took off the covering of the ark, so what does that mean?
The covering would have been at the top, so that's not the door. So it makes it seem like God finally tells Noah to come out. So one would assume that God would open
He
the
would
door
have
and
to
tell
have opened
him
it
to
because
come
I
out.
feel like he sealed him in.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we kind of have to assume there. Okay. So after all of this destruction, we read God remembered Noah. And it's not like he forgot him, like just sent him on a boat and then just forgot about him. He's ready to do something more with Noah. He's ready to end that judgment period, okay? So he sends a wind to kind of move everything. And we kind of get this picture back to Genesis 1. Because what did we see? We saw the Holy Spirit over the face of the waters, and the water separating water and land. So we see that kind of call back to Genesis 1, okay? And the ark comes to rest on top of a mountain, okay? Because the mountains, you would think that the water is kind of coming down, the mountains are going to be seen first. So it kind of lands on this mountain. And Noah does something interesting. He doesn't just wait for God to tell him that everything's over. He sends out some birds, okay? So God made sure he had some extra birds. You see that ahead of time. They gave him 7 pairs of everything. But he sends out a raven first, and the raven doesn't come back
came back.
because ravens are scavenger birds. And so they would have been very happy to land on the dead carcasses and just have a feast and a buffet. So that's why the raven doesn't come back. Okay?
Okay.
So then he says, okay, the raven didn't work. I should have thought about that. I know a little bit about ravens. He goes, sends out a dove, who's not a scavenger bird. Okay? So when the dove is released the first time, she comes back. She doesn't have anywhere to rest her feet. She gets sent out again, and she comes back with a leaf, which means that the trees have now started to reproduce again and have that breath of fresh air and be able to reproduce leaves. So he was going, okay, it's starting to come. The judgment is going back. And then he lets her out a third time, and she doesn't come back because now she's been able to find a place to rest, to build her nest, and she's ready to go out about her life. It's safe to dwell again. Okay, so it's kind of like the canary in the coal mine. Okay, very much picture that. Okay, so the dove not returning is going, okay, we got the all clear. All right.
Now I know it says it in here, but my mind doesn't math. How
Your mind doesn't what?
math?
Okay.
So-
So go ahead.
So we know that it rains for the 40 days and 40 nights,
Mm-hmm.
and then it stops.
Mm-hmm.
But how many more months are they on the ark?
After
They're
that.
After
actually
the-
total 11 months,
Okay.
almost a full year. They are on the ark.
While they waited for the water to
Yes.
recede.
But the
But by the time they get
From the
on,
day they get on the
Locked
boat,
in it.
locked in the boat, to the time they get off the boat, it's
It's
about
on.
11 months.
Okay.
But it was 5, but the 150 days, like.
150 days is the water's moving and everything
Moving,
like that,
yeah.
stuff like that, yes.
And you said it, I know that you said that God didn't forget Noah, I don't think he did.
He didn't
But
want
That he didn't forget
forget
Noah.
Noah.
Mm-hmm.
But to be on that boat for that long.
He probably thought that you were forgotten.
to wonder
He'd be
how.
like, hello, we're still
Like-
floating.
We're still here, floating around on this floating zoo. What are we gonna do if the waters just stay like this? We can't survive forever like this. We're gonna run out of food.
But there's nothing else you can do.
Right, you just had to wait. You just
now
had to wait around.
would they have multiplied in that time while they were on?
11 months, I guess, if something made
We're
it.
not told that. We're told that there are sons and daughters born after that point.
Well, I'm just like
Don't
you
you
said
worry
we
about the
had
animals.
extra birds.
Oh, no, the animals, no.
No, they
No.
wouldn't have
No.
multiplied at that time.
No. Animals don't reproduce unless they have safety for their young, and so if they're in confined spaces, they won't reproduce. So it is very much an instinctual thing in animals that if they're in confinement, it is very difficult for them to reproduce. Yeah, the stress of confinement stops their reproduction. Yeah. But like I said, he gives them extra birds and stuff because Noah was going to make some choices afterwards.
So the whole scenario with the raven and the dove, do you have a time, like, from the math, how long you think that is? Because it says after 40 days, well, we know the flood was 150, so are we assuming for
This is
110 days he's doing this
somewhere
process?
near the end of all of this because he's also waiting 7 days and 7 days and 7 days in between the dove, but we don't know how far from the raven or the dove. We don't.
Okay.
We kind of get the picture of he waits until he's landed on the mountain at least to start sending them out and testing them, but
So
we
he
don't
would have felt
have.
that he wasn't moving anymore. Or
Yeah.
There was some sort of.
We start seeing the mountains in the distance. When he goes up to the window, he can start kind of seeing the mountains, but he doesn't have all of the picture of everything. So he doesn't know what God's doing on the earth. Yeah. So that's why he kind of sends out those little tests. Okay. So the doors finally opened, and for the first time in almost a year, Noah and his family have to step outside the boat. And what's the very first thing they do? Noah doesn't build a home, he doesn't plant crops, he doesn't even tend to the animals. The very first thing he does is he builds an altar. And he has sacrifices. And these sacrifices of these burnt offerings would have been the whole animal. Okay, the whole animal burned. And he has clean animals and birds in worship. He's thanking God, hey, we get to put our feet back on dry ground again, that we were saved from this judgment. Okay? And the offering is pleasing to the Lord, and it reveals to Noah, I'm not going to destroy the earth again like this. Judgment is passed, and this was a horrible judgment. Hopefully y'all will learn, spoiler alert, they don't. I'm not going to do this again. And even it says, right here, we have 8 people, and God says, I will never again curse the ground because of man, for the intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. Y'all, there's 8 people. And he's still saying even these 8 who were righteous enough to get in the boat aren't sinless. They still have evil and sin inside that they're going to be wrestling with. And we're going to talk about that next week.
Evil's such a
Okay, sin, disobedience, the sinful flesh
Yes.
nature. Evil is just this word that's used in the
All-encompassing.
English. The Hebrew is just basically anti-good, anti-obedience. So it's just the epitome of the opposite. So we say evil and we think that people don't have moral compasses.
I'm thinking psychopath,
Right.
serial killer,
Yeah.
you know.
And this
That's
is
evil.
anti-God,
Okay.
anti-everything like that. Okay? Alright, so through Noah we see the life of obedience amidst just worldwide rebellion, okay? And the flood reminds us that sin
Come on in.
that sin has consequences. That's the whole point of this. It's not to have a discussion about dinosaurs, it's not to have a discussion about anything like that. It's that sin always brings consequences. The whole flood was because of consequences, okay? But even in the midst of that, we see God's mercy and grace, and that He provides the way of salvation, not us. Because I'm sure if Noah had his choice, he probably wouldn't have spent all the time building a boat and collecting animals and food and have a worldwide flood. But it wasn't part of Noah's plan. It was all God's plan.
Where does evil actually come from? Like, when it says that
From the beginning.
Satan, you know, like where are we told that it, in the Bible, where it comes from?
Where do you hear here? Where does it originate? Does it say anything about Satan?
So we gave Satan
It's
that
already
name.
there.
It's our free will.
He's one of the ways that it comes into the earth. He's not the only way. Because especially if you study Revelation, he's bound for 1,000 years and people still disobey God. Jesus reigns on a literal throne in a literal land and is judge over the land, and there's still people who disobey him. And there's still people who deny him. And there's still people who choose to go their own way and do their own thing. With no influence from Satan whatsoever.
So essentially free will is
Is part of it. Yes, we have all these influences. We have flesh, we have Satan, we have our own pride. We have all of these things that are influencing us to sin. There isn't just one. It's not, if we just get rid of this one problem, then we'll be fine. There's all these different influences of sin. Yeah.